Good morning, Tuvalu, and welcome to Star Trek The Original Series, Season 1, Episode 15, Shore Leave, or as the real fans know it, Episode 17. Yes, today we are going to be watching Shore Leave. I really need to workshop this intro a bit. It doesn't quite fit. I need to watch an old stream. How did I put those together? It used to work. But yes, if you don't know what we are going to be doing, basically we are going to be doing a live, an audio commentary track live is what we're going to be making. Start recording. Oh, dang it, and I was so good at hiding this little time bar. Yes, we're going to be making a audio commentary track live. For legal reasons, I cannot just stream an episode of Star Trek, nor the volume, so it's bring your own video, bring your own audio. Link to Paramount Plus in the description. Personally, I am using a digital backup of a remastered Blu-ray collection they did a little while ago. If you don't have the remastered or you don't want to watch the remastered, that's fine. It shouldn't affect the timings. It's just if I comment on an effect, it'll be different. And now we ramble a little bit so people can have time to set up. Shore Leave is an episode. It's probably like the poster child for half-remembered episodes. I remember what I think is the cold open, actually, because how could you forget it? I remember a lot of like individual things that happen in this episode. I think this very much is like a collection of individual things kind of episode they're all related. I remember why they're happening, at least at the high level. So it's fair to say I remember like the broad strokes of the plot. You know, I remember when so-and-so sat down and pitched this meeting. I remember what he said. But I did assume it's a he, but it is the 60s, so that probably was correct. I'll check that though. I remember, I think Bones is in this quite a lot. We're probably going to talk about why I don't like Bones a little more directly for the first time. Because I also remember that Bones commits sexual harassment or assault. One of the two. I'm not sure which, but it doesn't matter. Bones is not a good person. He's arguably, I think that's a key word there, a good character. No, you know, if you ignore the Star Trek universe and just kind of focus on the 15 episodes they've made at this point, he's a good character, and like he's a good character for the original series. He's not a good character when you consider the sort of utopia they're supposed to be living in. And to be fair, a lot of characters, most, if not all of them, suffer. I don't think Spock is really any worse. I was gonna say Sulu, but even when he was drunk, he does have that whole, like, My Fair Maiden bit with her in the Naked Time. But yeah, most of them do suffer with the original series, when you consider it in the context of the franchise as a whole. But yeah, to be fair, they haven't even invented the Federation yet. I think that's season 3. It's when and the children shall lead, I think, is the first time they invent the Federation. Sorry. I'm gonna quickly see who wrote Shore Leave. And good news, I did check that this is actually the right episode after last week's debacle. Shore Leave. Hopefully that Memory Alpha page is not on the concept of Shore Leave. No, it's not. That's good. Who wrote it? Theodore Sturgeon. That name sounds familiar, which is actually weird. Did he write something he wrote Amok Time. Yeah, alright, fair enough. Fair enough. I don't know most of the writers. Certainly not for TOS, but I could see myself having come across that. Whoops, I moved my mouse. You're not supposed to know that's there. It's gonna suck when I don't have a thumbnail that I can do this layering for. That just looks like magical. I love this. I love this little character. I always try and put layering, like that arm in the thumbnails, and the thumbnail characters, so I can mess around with the words going in front of and behind the character. It looks a lot more dynamic. I could see people who never really do this sort of thing also just not really understanding how it works and thinking it's really cool. I mean, I know how it's done. It's really cool. Hang on. Let's go boop, boop. There you go. That's how it's done. Shattering the illusion. But yeah, it's just hard sometimes to get those poses right, but we'll see. Looking at you, Discovery Season 4. But yes, I don't need the mouse for this. So, right now, we're going to start. We're going to do a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. And on go, we are all going to hit the play button on whatever you're doing. And then some of us will frantically realize that there are ads that they should have watched beforehand. Yes, let's see. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Yep, that started. There we go. Oop, and hey, I'm gonna remember to do that for once. Just to help people sync up. I like to show the blurry, really blurry episode. That's a new yeoman. And by new, I mean I don't think we ever see her before. I wonder why that yeoman quit. Actually, no, that was good. Where he thought that was Spock doing it. That was fun. If you even want to be friendly, you could you could say Kirk stop because he's like, actually, this is inappropriate. It's fine with Spock, but not with my yeoman. My last one, after all, left after horrible mistreatment. We'll see. Is it the? It's got to be the cold open. I'm not gonna spoil it if you haven't seen this for some reason. I could see some people watching TOS for the first time with me, but I don't know. It's like that time Abraham Lincoln showed up. You're just not gonna forget it. But I think this is our first prominent Sulu episode, which is good. I don't know. You probably spend a lot of time on like dead rocks, I guess. 430 people. Man, Discovery's really messed up my idea of how many people work on that Enterprise. Wait, I'm sorry, I was stealth Googling, but the whole planet's biology. Hey, there you go, see? How could you forget that? I know, just that. I know, how could you react any other way? Look, I bet there's a decent chunk of the fan base that absolutely hates this episode. The same people, the same people who just, you know, take massive dumps on Spock's brain. But this is what I want from my Star Trek. It's just, yes, we're here for camp. We got the camp music playing. It's a comedy episode. It's only got a little bit of sexual harassment. This is peak TOS. Oh yeah, we used to do these as funny intros. Look, there's like 80 of them. It's hard to do. Is this the first real silly episode? Hang on, I'm gonna get rid of the time bar real quick. Because I actually want to check. We've now done so many of these reviews over the course of like a year. Oh, come on. Is YouTube not going to load? That I have to check what was actually made. Okay, here we go. Whoops. Oh, I can't scroll the... Okay, fine. I'll get it up on my phone. I guess The Naked Time was a comedy, and I think we've had that. Is that production order? Yeah. Oh, Mud's Women. That's supposed to be a comedy. Which one was The Man Trap? Yeah, no, that one. Wow, he's wary. Yeah, Naked Time. I guess there's like three comedies with this one. You clearly are, Kirk. Do you think you could... Like, this comes up a lot. Well, you know, the captain or someone stays behind because, you know, someone has to be in charge of shore leave. Could you just spend, like, half of the crew down for shore leave, and then later send the other half down? You'd take twice as long on the rest, but the shore leave is important. This is a lovely area, though. That's actually got to be location. I think this might be the first bit of location filming in TOS. Yep. I kind of find it funny. I know they're released out of order. A lot of people don't see every episode. But very suddenly, Kirk is fatigued. Like, this wasn't anywhere in the last episode. This scene's fun. I like it much better when Beverly does the same thing to Picard, and they go through the whole spiel, and then before answering, Picard says, "Do you think I'm an idiot? Like, you're obviously talking about me." Bum bum bum. Yellow. Command and engineering. Why are you here? I don't know. I guess anyone can check out the planet, but like the scientist guy's actually scanning and checking things out. And you're seeing the vibes? No, actually fair. The more I logic my way through it, that makes sense. But I can understand why she's bored. Like, her job is to just be like, this is nice. His job is to see if things are poisonous, and that takes a lot longer. I've just realized the constant wind chimes, like, to the trees just make that noise. Man, that's a fun planet. I actually really like that. Conceptually. It's just, like, plausible, enough and weird enough to be that alien world. I love it. No notes. I forgot to mention it at the time, but full-on props, it improves the scene tenfold that the bunny was not only clearly a man in the costume, but he was struggling to move in that massive costume. Would you? Would you not? Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Yeah, this is one. This kind of hurts Sulu a lot. In my mind, to me, is he's like some massive gun enthusiast. And of course, my attitudes on guns are undoubtedly influenced by being American and our god awful gun laws. But like, he found an old gun and just started shooting randomly where he knows there are scouting parties. But more broadly, again with the whole utopian vibes, like I'm talking all over the bits of like how enthralled he is with this. But I really don't understand the fascination with weapons, whether they're current or old-timey, like modern tanks, firearms of any kind, like old bayonets, swords and stuff. It's like a fascination, especially if it's contemporary, with how people used to mass murder each other. Well, okay, not mass murder, but like how they used to murder each other. And it's, I don't like the glorification of it, or it's a very, I don't like the habit. I don't like the hobby, and I don't understand it. And it's a bit of a red flag. Especially in a world where like they have guns that are non-lethal. I mean, I suppose we do as well, but the phaser is just as effective, if not more effective, than a modern firearm, even in the non-lethal setting. That's right, I remember Finnegan. A bowl of cold soup in your bed. That's just mean. Where's the fun in that? Like, someone wakes up, and then their bed's ruined, and they're cold, and they're uncomfortable, and their clothes are ruined, and they just gotta spend a good chunk of the day cleaning soup out of their bed, which is gonna be a lot more complicated than just throwing it in the wash. Like, you gotta throw it in the bath and clean it. Like, that's... I mean, pranks in general, it's hard to find one that's good, but wow, that one's just, like, mean. Is that what an academy uniform's supposed to look like? I'd wonder. It'd be good to have someone who's like been in the military in these live streams because I ask these questions a lot. Are are there like what would happen to someone like Finnegan in an actual military academy? Because in your head, you know, the sort of stereotypical academy is he'd go and like scrub the bathroom with a toothbrush because he's so unruly and undisciplined. But I could also just see it being like a thing in the military. I've also just clocked that his quote-unquote prank was to come and just punch Kirk in the face. That's not a prank. That's a crime. God, that's a horrible scream. Like, it's in the sense that it's a terrifying, like, blood-curdling scream. Now, I am finding it interesting, though. These episodes, I'm surprised with a lot of them, is they take about 15 minutes to really kind of get going. Like right here, just at the 15-minute mark. And that would put us in a 45-minute episode if you just cut that first 15 minutes, which is a modern show. Yeah, Captain. Bones has seen weird things. You've seen weird things. You got punched in the face by a weird thing. And let's just go on not believing her, or rather just doubting her. I'm aware of Don Juan. I don't know who he is. It's fascinating, the passage of time with stuff like that. Because the one I like to give up is both TOS and 60s Doctor Who. From, let's see, maybe like within 3 years before the TOS was airing. They both have episodes about the OK Corral. Western episodes where they go to the OK Corral and there's like a famous shootout. Both of them seem to expect the audience to just know what the OK Corral is. Star Trek barely explains it to like Chekhov, just to kind of catch the few who wouldn't explain it. Whereas Doctor Who literally doesn't explain it at all. When I watched the Doctor Who episode, I only knew about it through the context of Star Trek. And there's this song that plays a lot in Doctor Who about the OK Corral, and that's how, like, I learn about it. And it's fascinating to me that the fact that both these shows, on both sides of the Atlantic at about the same time, chose to make an episode about the OK Corral of all things. Doctor Who, fine, it's time travel. It goes to the past. But Star Trek, like, doesn't really. It's a lot less natural for Star Trek to go to the OK Corral. It's harder to do narratively because, you know, they're in the future. They're in a spaceship. But it implies that people in the 60s, the average person, at least in the US and UK, which is, you know, quite far apart, just knew about the OK Corral. And we, in like the 40 intervening years, it's just not something I think anyone would know about. I've never heard it talked about. I think I've brought this up to a few people with this example, and no one's ever known what it is. And it always makes me think, like, it'd be like if in 20 to 30 years, no one knew what the Titanic was, you know? It's just that sort of shared knowledge just getting lost. And I mean, of course, history knows about it. You could look it up. Those episodes exist for one thing, but it's just not something that everybody knows about. And I find it so interesting because it's not a long period of time, and it seems to be so ubiquitous. You could just make the episode and assume everyone knows what it is. And I wonder, because Westerns were pretty big, like, a little before the 60s. It's some, span of that early 20th century. And so I wonder if there was a massive OK Corral movie that kind of put it into the public conscious, because I don't know if the Titanic movie is what made the story popular, but it's definitely a big reason of why it's like had longevity, I think. But before the Titanic movie, did no one know what the Titanic was? And I've never seen Titanic. I'm just like a generation off from when it was really big, so I'm aware of it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that conversation, because when we get around to season 3, we'll have it again. God, he's... Kirk, this is the most pop culture Kirk you've ever been. Like, unless we learn that this woman tragically died and, like, it was Kirk's fault a day before marriage and also the birth of their child, even then, this is a bit of a, like, negligence reaction, you know? Also, let's put a pin in this, because I'm gonna come back to it in about half an hour. Let's just put a pin that an old love of Kirk's is something that appeared on this planet. Yes. Oh, there we go. Oh, is this another one where the Enterprise deorbits in a matter of seconds? That's where you go, Mr. Spock, would you mind putting the Enterprise in a slightly higher orbit that's not actually just flying through the atmosphere, which is what we seem to do for some reason. Actually, I'd much rather see that. I know she's gonna get a princess uniform, but I'd much rather see, like, 10,000 Don Juans march on a hill and just that image of like some weird clone army that's not at all an army. Also, no, I didn't comment about the whole a girl should be a princess because I knew this would be coming up. And look, if we talk about everything wrong with 1960s, in any remote sense, we'll just be here all day. But you're pushing my boundaries here, TOS. I'm trying to give you some slack. I think that's better. The Blood Royale. Is that something I don't know about? Oh, Royal Blood. See, from my head, I heard her say, like, all these traditional girly princess things, and then, like, a princess of the Blood Royal, like some sort of barbarian warrior queen, and that was just way out of left field. Bones. Okay, no, here we start the real bad one. That in itself maybe isn't the worst thing. You know, we could be implying context that's not here. Which is honestly the sort of comment I would make if I was a doctor, because yeah, you know, he's the ship's doctor. He looks at people medically. That's fair. That isn't. Especially in the middle of a call, that McCoy, yeah, without her consent, and actually after being explicitly told, admittedly flirtatiously, not to peek, yeah, repeatedly just decides to, her, what's the word? Is it sexual assault, sexual harassment, rape? I think the word is bad. Violate her privacy and push her boundaries, which is made even worse by the fact that he's the ship's doctor. And we have established in that very scene that is part of his duties, he has to intimately inspect the crew members. That's not a man who should be a doctor. That's a man who should go to prison for being a doctor. Yeah, Bones is not a good person. And not even to justify it, or defend it, or say that this would be right, it's made even worse by establishing the fact that if he actually wanted to see this girl naked, he could just wait for her next checkup and do it stealthily and not get caught. So even if you want to analyze this as like an, just this is something he wants and how's he gonna get it, it's still, I mean, it's bad either way, but at that point it's just dumb, and it implies that he's so damn horny that it just adds to the level of how horny he's gotta be. If he's willing to do it here as opposed to in a more stealthful environment. Or hell, a consensual environment, if you can even call it that. And this is half the reason we don't like we don't like McCoy. The other half is he's racist. But Spock's not really in this episode, so we're not going to talk about that. You know, I'm noticing that so far with all the talk of, well, everything, and then this, there's not exactly, this isn't as campy fun as I might have thought. At least I'm pretty sure that's not a white guy in makeup. Why, Kirk, you know the situation you're in. Why are you so disbelieving? See, but now what you could do is you could have like the 10,000 Don Quixotes fight the single samurai, and that could be the episode. Oh, Spock is in this episode now. So who's in command? I wonder if we're going to address that. You know, I'm realizing why I remember a lot of weird individual events, but not the episode as a whole. This episode as a whole really doesn't kind of have a plot. They spent all their money on location filming, found some fun, weird events, and then realized they had to fill 50 minutes with it. It's a great concept for an episode. I could see, like, any other story pulling this off, or series. Except maybe Discovery, but that's just because it's really not the tone of Discovery. And I don't care about the characters enough, I guess. That might be a problem. But I mean, TNG has that Robin Hood episode. Or heck, most early Q episodes are like this. Yeah, they can just rip your uniforms and punch Kirk and, I don't know, whatever the Don Quixote did to that lady. I mean, they're about to create the fatal sin. And that's kill one of your main characters halfway through the episode. Because now you know they're not in any danger. Although, honestly, the series is probably better without him, so, you know, let's go on. The time of that cry, brilliant. I really hope that synced up on your end, where I finished my sentence and she immediately started bawling. I think this was actually an origin of a joke between my wife and I, where I think they said, like, wow, bold decision to kill McCoy halfway through the first season. And it started a joke of just, you know, anytime someone was, like, threatened or fake died, we did that. And the whole time that they did that, I was just sitting there thinking, like, God, I can't wait for Tasha. Because, of course, when we got to Tasha, they had the same reaction, like, man, bold decision to kill Tasha at the end of the first season. And I just looked at them and went, yeah, you're right, it was, wasn't it? They haven't gotten to Scylla yet, or Sela, or whatever her name is. I whisper because she might hear me if I say it too loudly. They're probably going to be smug about it. You know what else they're smug at is, I'm going through Doctor Who with them, and they're on the classics. And the first time they've seen modern Doctor Who, but still, the first time they saw a Dalek, they made the joke about how, like, stairs will defeat them. And I'm patiently waiting years as they slowly go through them till they finally see a Dalek fly. And then I'm gonna be so smug about it. But I just sit there taking this shit about Daleks and stairs. I also love how there's clearly no one in that helmet. Like, they had the head. They had the mannequin head. Why not put it in the helmet? I don't understand. Was it not ready in time? Because they're only doing close-ups? If it's not ready, frame the shot better. Ah, so is it a plot point that the plants feel fake? Not all of them, but a lot of these feel fake. To the point where I've wondered if this is actually just a massive Paramount studio. Ew. Actually, those eyes are really good. That's disturbing. I didn't like that. Probably cost a lot to get that. I've just realized Star Trek doesn't have aerial combat, does it? They have ground combat, they have space combat. I can't think of a single air-based combat vehicle. The Romulan bombers are orbital. I realize it's probably like a cost thing. There's VFX cost in getting those things to fly around. I mean, did we even really get, like, shuttlecraft in the atmosphere until Enterprise? But unless they're going back in time to where there's, like, real-world military airplanes, I can't think of aerial combat vehicles in Star Trek, which is baffling, because air superiority is such a big part of combat. There are artillery. There's off-road vehicles, like, sort of the equivalent of a tank, like, huh. How is this not scientific, Spock? God, this is why I hate Spock's logic. Spock's a great character. We all love his legacy, what he stands for, or how we remember Spock. But God, this is the definition of scientific thinking. This is literally, I have a hypothesis. This is literally the test of the hypothesis. We have now confirmed our hypothesis. This is the scientific method, albeit slightly less structured. Shoutouts to that actor, though, because he just goes balls to the wall. He's all in. They had him do his performance, and he's like, you know what? We want you to be more manic. And he pulled out a bag of cocaine and just inhaled it, and then he just did his performance again. And they were like, brilliant. 10 out of 10. Also, shout-outs to that jog. See, I want more of this. I want more of this in, hey, look, it's those rocks. You're gonna die here, Kirk. Spoilers. It's even the same angle and everything. Man, look at... It's the Vasquez rocks, isn't it? That are just outside of LA and appear in so much because, well, look at them. It's a great filming location. Wait, why did Kirk follow him? Shoutouts to William Shatner's secondary weird run across weird terrain. I feel I'm getting, I don't know why, but I'm getting the impression that this is actually Finnegan's really weird way of flirting with somebody. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I choked on my own nothing there. Like, look at that. That's not a prank. That thing had spikes. God, Finnegan, calm yourself. I realize this is how Kirk remembers Finnegan, but Jesus. If Finnegan was just a bit of a prankster, I don't think Kirk would remember this. I feel like what Kirk needs in this fight is a really cheesy line about how he's the upperclassman now. It's like, look at me. Well, you could literally do, look at me. I'm the captain now. Oh, good lord, wow. Oh, yeah, he did. I remember that. But did Kirk just go to, like, help someone up who had a broken back? Because... Oh my god, what happened to your shirt? It was intact one cut ago. This is definitely some weird form of flirting. I love you want Kirk to rip his shirt. Fair, fair enough. I can understand that. But I love how they don't even put the effort into it. Give Finnegan like a sharp rock and have him kind of like push him aside with the rock, and at least then there's a reason. But the way they even do it between cuts, it's glorious because his shirt was genuinely intact before the cut where it looked like this. Ah, ow. He's got to remember that, though. Arena's coming up soon. Doesn't he do that to the gourd? Man, Finnegan was the savior this whole time. Again, this isn't a prank. Did they just not want to write bully? Because I guess it was like the Academy, or maybe Gene Roddenberry crossed a line there. Like, no, there are no bullies in the future. He's a fascinating man. I would have loved to like watch the show with Gene Roddenberry and be like, why is this okay? Because he has a lot of very strong like views about what's right and wrong, and I think he always wanted utopia. And he just has not necessarily conflicting opinions. Sometimes I think they are, but like in TOS especially, what the Federation can have or what Earth can have. Like Earth, remember at this point, still conquered Vulcan, and I guess that's just okay, It's a fascinating mind. Flirtatious and aggressive. Yeah, actually, no, that would be Kirk's kind of man, wouldn't it? Now that I've said it. It'd be flirtatious, aggressive, but also at least slightly muscular. I don't know about, like, The Rock, but, like William Shatner muscular here. That's kind of the minimum. Like, look at that. He's got some pecs, but he's not like The Rock. Again, utopian. Scientific Spock! For God. Okay. I'm sorry. I get riled up about Spock. I also like how in most other episodes, that is the problem. But in this episode, once they realize it, it's kind of like, yeah, fine, let's just send 400 people down to the planet. Like, what could go wrong? Wait, did Kirk's shirt heal? Oh no, it's still broken. Good. Samurai was still there. Man. I forget the teachings of ancient Japan. Just a small little push. I was a big man as well. Like, take a bit of a push. I guess she doesn't know she could just think up a new uniform. But it's kind of weird she wasn't in that moment thinking, man, I wish I had a uniform that wasn't broken. Wasn't it the other side that was ripped, though? It's less ripped in this shot, that's for sure. Don't look at my pecs. Don't look at my oiled up muscles. He's so happy to be here. Look at that smile. Not that one, but in the last cut. We've been invading your thoughts. We know how horny that doctor we've got in our basement is. That sounds weird. I mean, I think at least some of them were amused. It's like, dang, I wish I brought Pike here instead. That's Sulu. Stick to the pilot. Stick to piloting the ship, okay? What a stupid question. Yeah, that's what McCoy would wish for. He definitely made them put on clothes just to come up here. If I were to get, I don't know, like an incurable illness, I would definitely come here. Of course you do. Wait, hey, another Rigel. There was like a Rigel the last episode. Wasn't there? No. Yes, that's where Pike was. I want these women bones. I'd forgive this episode all its transgressions if instead that yeoman took those women and just walked off screen. Not walked off screen. They walked off screen as as the camera tilted and revealed a bed just lying in the field. And then it cut back to these guys. Just look at how bunged up Kirk is. Like, look at... That is Kirk's idea of shore leave, isn't it? Could you imagine you're on the Enterprise, right? You're some like data scientist, I don't know. And you beam down because the captain's finally let everyone do shore leave. And you beam down and standing in front of you is your captain looking like that. Meanwhile, you know, two of the crew members, like the helmsman and some random scientists, are just surrounded by barely dressed women. Hey, there's that pin I put in the wall. I didn't even know she comes up later again. So that's a real person, you know? Yes, the entity is a fictional person, but that's, like, based off of a real person. This is the equivalent of when, Geordi made that woman on the holodeck, like Leah Brahms. This is a planet you could just go to and replicate someone to go have sex with, and when I said let's put a pin on this, I didn't realize Kirk actually did it. I would have loved it, though, if he was still super, like, bruised. Just the 5 of us, though. Was this the freeze frame episode? One of them's got a freeze frame. No, it's not this one. I don't remember which one it is. But there's an episode that just ends on a freeze frame and a laugh track, if I remember correctly. Ah, yes. Shore leave. There we go. Before people leave too quickly, there are some things I forgot to mention at the beginning. First off, I mentioned this in a previous live stream. Whoops. But tomorrow is daylight savings for my time zone, even though we voted not to do it, yada, yada, yada. I don't know. We're still doing it. I don't know why, but we're still doing it. I'm not happy about it. Like, I haven't been happy about it for like 5 years. But it means if you want to watch the Doctor Who live stream, if you don't also have daylight savings, it will be an hour earlier. Still at noon. It's just noon is a different time for me. I'll also probably have to find a country that's not Tuvalu again, which is unfortunate. But additionally, the 17th is St. Patrick's Day. That's a Sunday. There probably won't be a Doctor Who live stream that day. Is the in-laws have like a barbecue thing that day, and some stream after that will probably be canceled for Easter. But we'll see how things go. We've got a lot of like young toddlers and stuff in mine and Alex's family, and we got like a good yard, and so we want them all over to do like a little egg hunt and stuff like that. But yeah, shore leave. It was fine. It wasn't as kind of campy fun as I remembered, but I think the problem with comedy a lot of the times is it generally, I'm gonna say, ages really badly, and I don't like the phrase it ages badly. I think for a lot of things like here in the 60s it might have applied, but I don't live in the 60s, and when I grew up, like the 2000 to 2010 was kind of like my childhood. That's a decade that I think rather famously just doesn't age well. But even as a child, I would remember how a lot of the, like, comedy and stuff just felt wrong. And, like, this isn't something people should be saying. Like, it's not that it aged poorly. It was all wrong at the time. It's just, I guess, more people are aware of how it's wrong. And so if you can do these... If you want to do a comedy episode, the further back you go, the more likely it is to kind of come off the rails because of comedy at the time and just how people made jokes, which is genuinely just been to degrade other people. I think that's less common now, or at least maybe there's more prevalent comedians that are actually funny, but maybe those comedians were also in the past and we don't remember them. Like, what's the one where Data goes to a comedy club and he finds someone who is annoyingly from the future, but his comedy routine is just like 20th century comedy, and none of it is funny, and all of it is just degrading and insulting, and there are so many ists I could add to the routine. I know it's ableist, for one, off the top of my head. It's probably sexist. I mean, that's just a fair bout for any sort of comedy. Just any comedy. I would imagine most, in this context of, like, comedians, I would imagine most comedy is probably sexist, if I had to hazard a guess. But, yeah, this unfortunately suffered from that a lot. If being racist wasn't enough to make you dislike Bones, he's also, some word, misogynist, probably, a sexual assaultist, probably, misusing his practice so that he could see lady bits, definitely. I don't know why people like him. I think I'm in a bigger minority than I expect. Honestly, I might not actually be in a minority of people who don't like Bones. As a person, not necessarily as a character, though, as I've said, there's a lot of reasons I don't think he works too well as a character in this setting. He's the old Southern fossil in a world where old Southern fossils shouldn't exist. He's like the old Southern fossil of well, like now. But the old southern fossils of now are going to be dead in a few decades. And it's, again, that weird thing of why did... Because I didn't come up with that. It was either DeForest Kelley, it might be in the show, it might honestly be Gene Roddenberry, who said McCoy is an old southern fossil. And so if Gene Roddenberry wants this utopia, why are there old southern fossils? We address, like, the problems of the American South in some episodes, historically speaking. Like, I know slavery is brought up at one point where McCoy judges someone, and they're like, judging by your accent, I think your people, like, have some bad spots in their history. There's some line like that. It's like, I don't know, you could have had an opportunity to maybe show Southern culture, but take away, like, the racism and any of the bad stuff, and actually, like, here's Southern culture, but it's good. Maintaining someone's identity, but fixing all the things that really need fixed. You could have... I don't know, it's just fascinating to me. Like, a man who was so big on like, the crew can't have interpersonal conflicts because in the future we just don't have any. We've evolved past them. Is such, like, an extreme view. But you can be an old racist dinosaur because you're from the American South, which is just baffling. I want to know why. I want to hear his thought process to be like, no, this is why, like, there will always be old southern fossils, but utopia will still exist. It's fascinating. And in case I haven't made it clear enough with my wording, no, not all people from the South are, well, to quote the phrase I've been using, old southern fossils. But the description of old southern fossil definitely has a lot of rather specific things, and that's what Bones is. That is by no means unique to the American South, but there's definitely a concentration, especially compared with the rest of the country. But yeah, that was Shore Leave. Next week, what do we have? Is it Gothos? Gothos is a good one. Let me check. Yep, next week we got Gothos. Now here's campy fun done right. Here's the foundations for Q. You want comedy camp fun? Go get me Gothos. After that, the Arena. We've got two bangers after this. I mean, honestly, I don't remember the Arena too much. I mean, but, you know, the gore and the canon. I remember bits. I don't know if it's actually, like, some gripping episode of television. I know this isn't Doctor Who. I think I genuinely agree with our fan base on what the good episodes are. Not the bad ones. Doctor Who and fan base on me just have a lot of different opinions. Genesis of the Daleks isn't actually that great. Don't at me. The touch these two wires moments is severely undermined by the Doctor deciding to just touch the wires anyway. The moral thing was all simplistic anyway. Maybe it was more so at the time. But just do you kill baby Hitler isn't a very interesting argument, especially when you then decide to kill baby Hitler and don't reflect on that after all, after previously giving why it's such a massive moral dilemma. It's not great. I mean, it's got good moments, don't get me wrong, it's not a stinker, but, God, can we move past it and actually realize that the Doctor blew up the Daleks? He just chose. He's like, actually, yeah. Do I have the right? Yeah, I do. But we can save that. Oof, that was a tangent. But yeah, no, it's at least fine. I mean, the main thing about the Arena that, of course, I know is it's the episode that makes me... I believe it's 3 degrees of separation from William Shatner. That's right, I'm 2 degrees of separation from the Gorn. Counting the Gorn and the person between me and the Gorn. I don't know if that's 1, 2, or 3 degrees, but that's my claim to fame. I don't particularly care about being 3 degrees from William Shatner, but the fact that I am 3 degrees from William Shatner puts me 4 degrees from a huge chunk of people, including Patrick Stewart and Spock. And Spock puts me 5 degrees of separation from most people in this franchise. So there we go. That's my claim to fame. I wonder if does that make me within 7 degrees of separation from Kevin Bacon? It probably does, you know? But that's a story for a few weeks before Discovery. So without any further ado, I will wrap things up. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time!